I just walk in an argument to one-way, why you mad? Girl, why you was sick? I do not want that. Came home to you, only you stuck like glue. If I caught that Hellcat, girl, you get one too. For me and you, I want you, I love you. Can I touch you? I rub, let me love you. Put my dreams to the side only cause I trust you. Girl, I trust you, I love you, won't judge you.
What's going on? SEVelocity back with Naruto characters and the starting point guard for the New York Knicks. Coming at you Halloween night. You probably won't see this till Monday evening, but
Hold up. You can't just drop that. You got to show them who that starting point guard is. Show
Oh,
it to them.
okay. Well, the joke's on all of you because it's me. All right. I mean, I think you all should have known, but that's all right. Now you'll know for next year. Anyone who watches Ted Lasso, that's the next costume on board, on deck. Maybe Invincible too. We'll have to take a look. Really disappointed I didn't take advantage of Halloween sooner, but here we are, last second costume idea. Looked for the Jokic jersey, looked for the Portland Trailblazers LaMarcus Aldridge jersey. Didn't find either of them. I know I have a Timberwolves Kevin Love jersey somewhere. Not sure where that is. And then a Messi jersey that absolutely doesn't fit me anymore. But here we are. Talking some sports. I took a 9-day trip to Florida, so I missed 2 weeks. So here we are back. After a small little break, for some sanity in Florida, some Halloween Horror Nights, and Tampa Bay Lightning, a couple other things, Disney, fam, friends, whole 9 yards. How was your break, sir?
What's going on, everyone? I'm here grinding in school. Happy Halloween. And as Evan pointed out to all of my Naruto heads out there, and I know you're out there because so many athletes and sports fans are anime fans as well. You may recognize this costume as Minato Namikaze,
I know the run.
the fourth Hokage of the Village Hidden in the Leaves, Naruto.
I could do the Naruto run. That's about it. I'm sorry.
I hope so. Every kid learned it back in the playground in the old days.
Listen, I need to catch up on some anime. Maybe we'll dive deeper into it in the future.
All right,
So,
oh please. You're not gonna catch up in anime.
there might be one eventually I'll watch. I haven't decided which one, but we'll see. I did watch some Attack on Titan. That's not the point, though. We're here for sports, all right? So,
Speak the truth.
let's talk about football first. We missed a few weeks, so I'm not going to cover what happened in the last few weeks. I guess a few things I will say is I think we both mentioned, we were talking about starting quarterbacks at one point and how rarely they get injured. So updates since I've been gone, Russell Wilson hurt his finger. I believe he tore a ligament in one of his fingers, and it's been severely affecting his throwing, so he's out for the next few weeks. He already missed the last 2. Geno Smith is now the starting quarterback. Maybe I did mention that 'cause he is a former Jet, and I think I brought that up at one point. Now, Dak Prescott, tonight's game, Vikings versus Cowboys, is not playing. He had I believe, a knee problem. Coming in his place is Cooper Rush, I believe. But that was a last-second decision. And then the Jets starting quarterback, rookie Zach Wilson, also sprained his knee and is out for the next 4 weeks. However, fast forward to this week, and the Jets played the 5-2 Bengals, the best team in the AFC in that conference. And the Jets, with a backup quarterback, put them in the ground. So, 34-31. A couple interesting stats I'll throw in there is that is the first team, the Jets are the first team this year in the NFL to score more than 25 against the Bengals. And mind you, the Bengals beat the Ravens, Lamar Jackson and company, 41-17 last week. Or 2 weeks ago. So the Jets came in there with a backup quarterback and beat that team. All I'm going to say is the Jets are 2-5. They beat they beat the Bengals and they beat the Titans. And let me tell you something. The Titans beat the Chiefs and the Bengals beat the Ravens. So that must mean the Jets are the best team in the NFL. So that's all I'm going to say. Another stat to throw out there. So Mike White is the backup quarterback. He threw 400 passing yards today. 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I want to say this is important because this is the first Jets quarterback since the year 2000 to throw over 400 passing yards. Vinny Testaverde, for anyone who cares, was the other one in 2000 who did it. And the Jets also got their first interception since December 2020. So almost a year, which is pretty embarrassing, but we got there. And you know what? Things are looking up. Rookie quarterback hasn't looked great so far. He's learning, but the backup looked pretty good. So Jets play Thursday. They're the early game. They play against the Colts this Thursday. We'll see how that goes. Jets move to 2-5. Bengals move to 5-3. I probably won't go too crazy with the scores here, but I will try to point out some of the significant ones. Eagles absolutely floored the Lions today. I thought the Lions and Eagles would be a little bit closer. Lions were looking to get their first win. They fall to 0-8. Eagles are 3-5. They won 44-6. Absolute murder today. Decent game from Jalen Hurts, but mostly a great game by the running backs. Miles Sanders is hurt. The backups, Jordan Howard and Boston Scott, each got 2 touchdowns, and a defensive touchdown from Darius Slay. So overall, pretty good performance. Titans beat the Colts in overtime. Colts were up all game. Carson Wentz throws a brutal interception to lose the game in overtime. Rams beat the Texans, which is expected. Patriots beat the Chargers by 3, which is a little bit disappointing. Chargers should have played better. Broncos beat Washington. Tom Brady lost to the Saints today, and that is significant because Jameis Winston hurt his ankle/knee on a horse collar tackle in the first quarter. So the third string quarterback, because the second string quarterback had a concussion too. The third string quarterback and the Saints defense went and beat the Tampa Bay Bucks today with a crucial Tom Brady interception late in the game that cost him the game. Tom Brady takes his second L of the season. He moves to 6-2. I believe the Saints are 5-2. Yes, 5-2. Seahawks beat the Jaguars without Russell Wilson. Geno Smith played a pretty good game. Credit to him. Let's see. Steelers beat the Browns 15-10. Browns were missing their starting quarterback. Got Nick Chubb back. It was an okay game. Very defensive. 49ers beat the Bears. Rookie Justin Fields looked pretty good. He was 19 of 27, 200 yards and a touchdown and a pick. Jimmy Garoppolo threw for 300 yards, though, and the running back Elijah Mitchell had 140 rushing yards. 49ers get the win. Panthers beat the Falcons. Sam Darnold getting the win minus Christian McCaffrey. Nothing too significant. Darnold didn't play too well. The running back, Chuba Hubbard, played pretty well. 80 rushing yards, touchdown. And then we got the Vikings versus Cowboys. Vikings are up 7-0 right now. That game is ongoing. And the undefeated Cardinals lost to the Green Bay Packers on Thursday night because Aaron Rodgers is a what?
He's a bad man.
Thank you. They get the win.
From Stephen A. Smith. He's the one who started saying that.
Yes. Credit to Stephen A. on that. But big moves by the Packers. Rodgers throws 2 touchdowns. They played a very game manager game, meaning that they ran the clock a lot and they weren't trying to, score a ton. It was more about controlling the time of possession. Packers moved to 7-1. Cardinals are also 7-1. That was their first loss. So those are the 2 top teams record-wise in the NFL now that the Bucs slid to 6-2. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else to add. Bills are also 5-2. Cowboys are 5-1 going into tonight, but they have a backup. And the Rams are also 7-1. So forgot about that too. So credit to them. Those are the top teams going into next week. Packers versus Chiefs this upcoming week. So Pat Mahomes versus Aaron Rodgers should be a great game. 4 o'clock on Sunday, I believe. Definitely check that out. Other news reports, nothing too much. There's still rumors that Deshaun Watson might get traded. We still don't know where that's going to go. Barring his legal issues and whether or not the Texans are willing to trade him. Calvin Ridley, wide receiver for the Falcons, spoke recently saying that he had to step away from football for a little bit due to mental health. I did not get into the article, so I don't know what it is specifically, but hopefully everything is going well with him. That is a top player in the NFL, so hopefully that goes over well. Other than that, I'm going to usher us into basketball. I know I didn't talk much about football today. I don't think there's a lot of storylines outside of the few hurt quarterbacks, but I also want to take the necessary time to catch up on basketball since it's the start of the season, and me being gone for 2 weeks, there's also always a lot of headlines at the start of the NBA season, so I feel like I should give a little bit more time to the NBA today and discuss. We also have some wonderful topics to discuss in certain areas. So without further ado, the floor is yours.
We're rolling into week 3 of the NBA. I mean, since we're late to the party, I mean, we don't necessarily have to, go cycle through every game like starting from week 1. So we'll talk
Right.
like on a pretty general basis.
Yeah, just talk about the teams that look good.
Yeah, but it. Most importantly, I need to get this off my chest. And for everyone out there, it was my idea for us to, bring the costumes on the set, and I am regretting it so much because of what this man is wearing, the team he's representing from week 1. They've been making me sick to my stomach so much that the New York Knicks keep winning. It makes me sick. And to make things worse, my dad, I love my dad to death, calling me on the phone, laughing at me, bragging. I have this man here texting me, I think the Knicks, last name is Stephen A. Stand up, New York. And no team is safe in the East except for Brooklyn and Milwaukee. We got Spike Lee active on the court again. Like, and some of these games they're winning, they're close games. The Knicks are looking like, even though they shouldn't, and it burns me so much to say this, I'm actually being entertained watching them. I want to gouge my eyes out. And then they're showing that they're clutch and can close out games. Like on some of these games are down to the wire. Double overtime against the Celtics. The other night, who did they beat? The Chicago Bulls. Again, well, first of all, that one I blame completely on Mr. DeMar DeBroken, but that's old news.
Don't talk about the GOAT like
I,
that.
it makes me sick to my stomach that they keep winning. I swear.
W, baby. That's all I'm gonna say.
I had to get that off my chest, especially after seeing that Knicks jersey. Like that's literally what's been bugging me the most right now so far. But I gotta slide this in there though. Heat Nation. We're looking tough. We're still looking tough.
I gotta say it's really hard being the best team in the NBA, but I will take it with pride.
No, you see right there, that's exactly why I cannot stand it. Oh, and thank you to everyone once again. I probably said it before for who's participating in the fantasy. I've been already having a lot of fun with it. Getting in some friendly competitions with your friends. Unfortunately, I won week 1. I'm losing right now, but not all of my players have played yet. So I gotta state this too. Anthony Davis, I do not want to see another 15-point game from you. I need you to drop 30 plus tonight.
I'm sorry. As you were saying that, I went to go check the score, and it's safe to say that I got the W. I am up 14, and most of his guys are done except for one. And I have Chris Middleton and Pat Connaughton just starting. Fantasy has been a blast. I've also been doing a few DraftKings lineups too for money. That's been pretty fun.
Wow, you're going hard.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if I can get a rough idea of who's playing well, because you only get 50K and to set a lineup, and like Giannis is like 10K alone. You have to build a lineup of like 9 people. So I tried a few different theories. Anyone who's looking to do this, when you build those lineups, I did 2 different approaches. I did one approach where I felt like it was a bunch of all-around players, some a little bit better than others, like people like John Collins and CJ McCollum being the top of that threshold, but not necessarily top all-stars. And then I did a team of 3 or 4 of the top players, and then a bunch of like bench players, just to see which one would perform better. Do the all-around. CJ McCollum, he did drop 30 that night, so it was really good for me. But I had people like Will Barton who contributed a ton, John Collins, Jared Allen. I know one of the nights I used Evan Mobley, but now he's going to be really expensive because he's done well as a rookie. But definitely try to build an all-around team. That's what succeeds more. But basketball has been pretty great. I mean, the Knicks are great. The Heat have played well. I do want to point something out, and this is going to be something that you'll like. Out of every team in the NBA, there is one team that has the highest point differential in the league, and that is the Miami Heat. So the reason that this is significant is every team has a differential of under 10, win or lose, except for 4 teams. The Thunder have a differential of negative 14.5, so they've been getting blown out quite a bit. The Jazz have plus 13. The Magic have minus 11, and the Miami Heat have plus 17. So they have been performing very well. So worth noting.
I'll point this out there too. We beat the Brooklyn Nets.
You did.
Well, I got to say this. I cannot wait. Yeah, I'm holding the kunai to see you guys. I don't know about you, but I think that's a bet-worthy matchup.
For what? Knicks versus Nets?
Knicks versus Heat.
Oh, versus the Heat. Yeah. Well, I am looking at the schedule. You want to know how long you're going to have to wait for that game?
How long?
The Knicks don't face the Heat until January 26th for the first time.
Wow, that's weird. I bet you if the second game's going to be close because we're going to meet each other like 3 or 4 times.
January 26th, February 25th, March 25th, and that's it. We only play 3 times.
Okay. All right, we're probably in different divisions.
Yeah. And noteworthy Knicks matchups in the next few games. Well, we play Toronto tomorrow, so that should be a win. We play Indiana, which should be a decent game on November 3rd. I don't know who's going to win that. But we play Milwaukee on November 5th. And that should be interesting. I hate to bully our favorite player.
Hey, speaking of Milwaukee, it's funny how what was the big difference in the Milwaukee and Heat matchup last postseason? Adding Drew Holiday. But now the Heat, we got Kyle Lowry. Watch out, Bucks.
So I want to point out, you guys played the Heat recently, or the Bucks, excuse me, and you guys won, right?
Did we meet the Bucks already?
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So I want to point out something that's not being talked about enough. PJ Tucker played phenomenally, and I think that's something that the Bucks are severely lacking now that he's gone. I think that's something that's kind of really suffering for the Bucks, and I also want to point out that the Bucks are missing the GOAT.
Drew Holiday.
Well, Drew Holiday, but Bobby Portis. Has Bobby Portis been playing?
I think he might have played their last game.
Okay, all right, maybe not. Sorry. But speaking with that. Okay, Bobby Portis. I'm sorry. He's played 1 game. I want to point something out in regards to basketball, and I'm sorry to get off topic here. It still has to do with the conversation. There is a trend going around the NBA where teams are avoiding small lineups now and going into really big lineups. At least more often. I know it's usually smaller lineups, but specifically I want to bring up the Cavs. So the Cavs are running their starting lineup as Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley is their 7-foot rookie center. They're starting both centers to start the game. Lauri Markkanen's playing small forward, who's a power forward.
Yeah, he's like 7 feet, right?
Yeah, and then Darius Garland and Colin Sexton are the guards. But they have won a good chunk of games. I think they're 3-3. But like they're winning games that they shouldn't win. So I wanted to point that out there that they're killing teams with rebounds.
Yeah, I was about to say, and that proves our point that we made when we in our early days of this show. All you people who don't know basketball but try to pretend you do, rebounding matters. It makes
Yes.
a difference on the scoreboard.
It's as simple as this. Defensive rebounds prevent them from scoring more points. Offensive rebounds give you more opportunities to score points and ultimately give you a higher point differential.
Yeah,
So
we're talking second chance point opportunities.
So yeah, I wanted to point that out there because I thought it was really interesting. I noticed that lineup was happening a lot, and Jared Allen's been getting usually 10 plus rebounds a game, and Mobley's getting close to 8 or 9. Not to mention Kevin Love's coming off the bench too, so and he's been a decent contributor. So I wanted to point that out there because it's really interesting. They beat teams like Atlanta. They beat the Hawks. So they lost to LA. They lost to Phoenix. Lakers. And they lost to Phoenix. They lost to Charlotte and they lost to Memphis. So they had one loss that was brutal. I'd say Charlotte, you shouldn't lose to Charlotte. Memphis is 50-50. But what I wanted to point out was they beat the Hawks, they beat the Nuggets, and they went and beat the Clippers. And I guarantee you it's not because of how many points were scored by any individual player. I guarantee you it's because they killed them on the rebounds. In fact, against Jokic, Jared Allen had 16 rebounds.
Yeah, and then with a tall lineup, like their interior defense is solid.
I also wanted to give a huge shout out to Ricky Rubio on that team. He is coming off their bench, but he is averaging like 7 or 8 assists a game. So that's something really noteworthy. Great distribution off the bench. I mean, Darius Garland and Colin Sexton are still top tier, but a sixth man's putting in work. So is Kevin Love. Worth noting. Now, also, Cade Cunningham just came back, I believe. The number 1 overall pick for the Pistons. They are playing the Nets currently. They are down 107-80, so they are getting obliterated. Cade Cunningham did not play, so he must have gotten hurt again. But KD's got 23 and Harden's got 18. It is so nice to see James Harden score normal figures because he's not making contact and being called with a foul every 3 seconds. It is beautiful.
I'm glad you brought that up because we saw how that messed him up the first couple of games. He wasn't used to those ridiculous fouls, so he ended games with only like 15 points and shooting like 30%.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Like, thank you, Harden. Now you need to go work and go get a bucket like we know you can.
I want to give a shout out to Draymond Green. Not that I necessarily love him half the time with, some of the previous low kick antics, from the past. But he said that he loves watching these guys not get these stupid foul calls that they get handed every game. So I agree with him 100%. He said he's enjoying the games more without the terrible calls. So this is exact quote. So I completely agree. It's so much better. I mean, I'm sure you agree. It's a little bit annoying. Like, I won't say it's detrimental to the game, but it's a little bit annoying to watch a game be built on 35 minutes at the free throw line and like 40 free throws. It's a little bit aggravating. So I'm glad it's more of a in-game, so live action. What do you want to talk about?
Hey, but since we're speaking of the Nets, they're looking a little shaky.
The Nets are, you know what? You don't have to beat around the bush. They look awful. And
yeah, it's funny. KD when he told the media the other day, he said, "I know what you guys really want to ask. Yes, we miss Kyrie."
Yeah, it's just like, they're 3-3, so you can't say that they're awful necessarily. But I'm gonna say they're awful because of the people that are on their team. They should be doing way better.
Based on our expectation for them. Yeah.
Which do you want to expand on the Nets at all, or did Kyrie or anything?
Well, I don't. I don't think we even need to say we've talked about Kyrie enough. And at this point, I think we need to just lock him in a vault and just see if he decides to get vaccinated and play or not. Well, actually, I don't know if this is real news or not, but I think I saw something. It was on Bleacher Report, I think, on the IG page saying that Kyrie went on SNL, Saturday Night Live, or something like that, one of those shows, and got vaccinated out there. I don't know how much truth there is to that, but until we see him on the court, let's just assume he's MIA and leave him out of this.
I can't
KD,
believe that. I don't
yeah,
believe that because I feel like
I
he'd be
don't
on the
believe it
court
either.
right now. Then,
Yeah, I don't believe it either.
um,
But KD now, KD's doing his thing. KD is KD.
yeah,
Like he's
he's
doing exactly as I expected. Nothing more, nothing less.
KD's
But
been the constant. James Harden has been a little bit under expectation, but I think we're starting to see him
a
kind
little
of.
bit. He's been a lot under
Yeah,
expectation, except for one game.
but yeah, I was gonna say the last two games he looks like he's finally kind of figuring it out. And the way I think it's more just him trying to adapt to not trying to get every foul call. Now he has to play in
Yeah,
a different play
yeah.
style. I
Which he's completely capable of. Like we know the skills he has. He'll be fine. He just needs to get games in and get used to the adjustment because it's like one of those things. He's for so many years he's had gotten adjusted to playing that way,
Yeah.
so he just developed some habits.
Yeah, and to his credit, he figured out that he could play that way. So that's props to him. He figured out that that works. Um, I want to talk about a couple teams that deserve some credit too, that are hot, or just point out a few. Starting with the Washington Wizards. Um, they are playing great basketball. They're 5-1, and I want to give a specific shout out to a certain player on that team who is new there and is playing very well. Um, Kyle Kuzma is playing actually spectacularly in a new setting. He is averaging 15 points a game, 12 rebounds a game, and 2 assists. So that's pretty good, especially for his size. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's nice to see because he's also looks a little bit more versatile on the Wizards. I mean, he's able to get the ball more. He never really he was always a pretty good scorer. Like wasn't like amazing or anything, but when you fall into the shadow of all the other Lakers players, like star players, and I keep saying 100 times, I'm so sorry. Um, he's played now that he's got his own chance to do his own thing. He's played really well, and I think that's something that should be recognized. Spencer Dinwiddie too is averaging 20 points a game. I think we expected that though. He looked good on the Nets before he was traded, and I even told you there was a point where I thought Dinwiddie was doing better than Kyrie. No disrespect to Kyrie, it's just a matter of being on the court and playing. Dinwiddie was hurt though. I think that Dinwiddie team-wise contributes more all around. Kyrie obviously is a better player though. I'm not even going to argue that. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, KCP, is averaging 10 points a game as well over there in Washington. They got a whole new squad for the most part. People,
Bradley Beal has some decent help over there.
yeah, it's nice to see. There was I also wanted to give a shout out to Montrezl Harrell because he's also on the team now. Uh, he has started 2 games, but he's played all 5 games, and he's averaging 19 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists as well. So similar to Kuzma's numbers. So they have a lot of good forwards that are able to rebound, and I think that's something worth noting because now you have kind of similar to the Trailblazers, you have this 2 guard combo with Dinwiddie and Beal that are good scorers. But unlike the Trailblazers, you have a bunch of good forwards that you can kind of rely on. So I think this team could potentially perform better than the Trailblazers solely because they have a lot more help around them. Like if Damian Lillard had this team around him, he would be so much better off. Um,
That and also the point now Dinwiddie and Beal are both better perimeter defenders than Lillard and McCollum.
Bingo. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Great team so far. They deserve some credit. I want to talk about the teams that maybe in a few months we might not talk about or talk about less just because of either less star power or they start to regress a bit. Um,
Sure.
Bulls, I mean, there's not much to say. They're 5-1. They have just a lot of scoring ability, and I mean they have distribution from Lonzo, but he's also starting to score more too. Uh,
Yeah, that trio though of scoring, even and much of the Burmese say it, but DeRozan, Levine and Vucevic.
Yeah, it's
That
beautiful.
that's a lethal triple threat right there.
Yeah, and no one
But
talks about it.
But I will say this though, when it comes time to close out the games, put the ball in Zach Levine's hands, not DeMar DeRozan.
That's a weird way to say Alex Caruso. No, I'm kidding.
I forgot to ask Caruso. Now Caruso, he's a good role player.
He is. So Levine's averaging 25 a game. DeMar DeRozan's averaging 23 a game, and Vucevic is averaging 15, while Lonzo's averaging 12 and Caruso's averaging 8. So those are the top five scorers.
In the past, Vucevic, like when he was in Orlando, he's averaged like over 20 before, right?
Yeah,
like
he was
20 or
he was
21.
21 to 22 area.
Yeah, so he's essentially just settling back, being that third wheel role. But they have three guys that are capable of scoring over 20
yeah,
a game.
and he's averaging 11 rebounds too, and 4 assists. So I want to say Vucevic is someone that I really like as a player because when you go to school in Florida and you go to a Magic games, and your options to watch are DJ Augustine, Aaron Gordon, Vucevic, and Evan Fournier. Outside of maybe Fournier when he's really hot, Vucevic is the most entertaining thing to watch. And he silently was really good, and no one talked about it much. And then, his first few years with the Magic, he started doing really. You could see him step up to close to 20 points a game, and it was still quiet because there was still that core 3 or 4 centers who are just really good. And then finally, he got his first All-Star appearance, and now I feel like he's getting a lot of recognition. But it took a long time for him to actually get credit. So that was nice to see.
Do you think they might do the change? Well, outside of Brooklyn, maybe when Brooklyn gets fully healthy, let's leave them out of it. Do you think that the Bulls might have the best offense on the East Coast?
I'm gonna make a surprising. Well, like you said, we'll leave the Nets out of this. But the two teams I think we just talked about are potentially the two best offenses, with the Wizards and the Bulls. Like I think that the Bradley Beal, he already scored 30 points a game. So him doing that again, but now with a bunch of other people, you got Dinwiddie around him, Kuzma and Harrell. Like you have a lot of help around you, where that team should be able to score at high volume. And then the Bulls just. If DeRozan has a bad night, you give it to Levine and Vucevic. If Levine has a bad night, you give it to DeRozan and Vucevic. And you still have Lonzo Ball to fall back on, who is, to his credit, a pretty good player. Even scoring-wise, just no one talks about him because he's usually primarily distribution role. And then Caruso's also one of those guys who can get you 15 or 20 on any given night randomly. Not every night, but just randomly. So I just think that there's a lot of, both those teams have those guys that could just get really hot and just put up a really good night, and I think that's helpful.
And they can score inside and outside, except for DeRozan. But Levine and Vucevic, Vucevic is a stretch big. He can stretch the floor and shoot from 3. Levine, he's turned himself into a really good 3-point shooter in the league now. DeRozan, he's still not, but he still has his mid-range shots, his fadeaways. And him and Levine, we know both of them can slash at the rim, so they have a good inside-outside game. And Vucevic, they can feed him in the post.
So, we'll keep going with the Eastern Conference, and then we could switch over to the Western Conference. Who do you think in the Eastern Conference is averaging the most points per game?
The most points per game in the East right now.
I'll give you a hint. I guarantee you probably don't get it in the first 2 guesses.
I'm gonna say Jaylen Brown.
No, which team?
Oh, which team? Oh, is it the Knicks?
Knicks are second, 117 a game.
Okay. All right.
This team averages 118.6.
All right, so close.
And they're also 5-2.
Oh, 5-2.
Yeah, they're playing pretty well.
Is it the Heat?
Nope.
No. Yeah, we haven't lost twice yet.
You ready for me to tell you?
Yeah, go ahead.
The Charlotte Hornets.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And Miles Bridges is averaging 25 a game.
Yeah, I do remember. I forgot who. Oh, he had a big game against the Nets.
Yeah. And Gordon Hayward's playing like himself again too. He's averaging 20 a game right now. Which.
I gotta point this out too. LaMelo, Were you at LeVar? Your boy got locked up against my Heat.
He did. Gordon Hayward hasn't been good in the last 2 years. Like I know everyone was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, Gordon Hayward, that's a big signing." Let's be honest. Since he broke his leg, he has
yeah.
not been nearly the player that he was. So this is like the
Mhm,
first year where he actually looks pretty good.
mhm.
LaMelo Ball is playing well outside of getting locked up. He's averaging 17 a game. This group is just five or six players that are scoring 10 plus a game. So Cody Martin's averaging 10. Kelly Oubre, who is a phenomenal role player that no one talks about, is averaging 14 a game. Um,
I like Uber.
yeah, LaMelo's averaging 17. Bridges 25. Hayward 19. And then you got a pretty good bench now. You still have Terry Rozier, who only played one game. I believe he's hurt. Um, and then you guys like Mason Plumlee, who's averaging 9.5 rebounds a game. So pretty well balanced team. I don't think not to roast unless Miles Bridges is like the truth. Like I don't think this team is going to carry. I think that they're one of those teams that's going to regress massively throughout the season. I think LaMelo Ball will be great, but I don't
Yeah.
unless Miles Bridges consistently averages 25 a game. I don't think that team's going to be nearly as good as they look right now. Um,
Fair.
see. Let's talk about your Sixers since that's the next team up on the standings. And then we can
Yeah,
talk about the Knicks a little bit.
remind me, the Sixers did play the Knicks already, right? Yes,
Yes.
they did. Because I remember, I think that was the first game I really flipped out on.
Yep.
The Sixers, uh, I don't even know what to say on them. I am sick and tired of all of this drama. I just want to fast forward to the trade deadline. I still think I think most people would say they're a lock for the NBA playoffs.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
they're gonna. I have them they could fall anywhere from 3 to 8 because of like how competitive the East is gonna be. They're everyone from 3 to 8, so pretty much outside of Brooklyn and Milwaukee. That can go in any order right there.
Um, I think the Sixers are fine. I will say I do think that the team is still slightly better with Ben Simmons. But though
Regular season, sure,
with
because
with
yeah,
yeah
regular season they're the best defensive team in the league. They've been for the past couple years, right?
yeah with the way things are though, I don't think he's necessarily a necessity. I like the way Tyrese Maxey's playing. First off, I
Yeah.
think he's contributed a lot. Um,
Oh yeah, and what's his name? Thibault. Who was he locking up the other night?
um,
Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot. Who were they playing? They killed them recently.
Here, I'll
Wh-
let me double check.
Was it the Hornets?
They just played the Hawks. They
The
locked down
Hawks.
Trey Young, right? He had eight
Yes,
points.
but
Yeah,
yes, he
on my
was
fantasy
smothering
team. It
him.
was great.
No, Trey Young and Cam Reddish. Yeah, Cam Reddish.
Oh
They
right,
both
yeah, he
got
did that.
locked down. Yeah, that was crazy. That's what I like to see.
Um, I want to say though. So I'll read off the stats to you for their top six scorers. Right now, Embiid is the leader with 21 points a game. Um, impressively, it's only averaging 30 minutes a game. He's averaging 21 points, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Um, Tobias Harris is averaging 19.8. Seth Curry 15.3. Maxey 14.7. Shake Milton 12. And then Korkmaz 10.2. I want to also point out assist to turnover ratio. Shake Milton has 7 assists to a turnover. That's
That's
like
incredible.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
highest ratio by far on the team. Um, I want to mention this. I think this is a reasonable thing to mention. If Ben Simmons was to come back and you are forced to use him in a certain way, I'm going to give you my take. I think that the best way to utilize Ben Simmons with the cards that you're dealt currently is to still. Here's the thing. I don't know if it's impossible to bench. If it's impossible to not start Ben Simmons, like I don't know if that's going to be an issue where Ben Simmons will never play again if he doesn't start. But I personally think that if you can use him any way that you want, I think that Ben Simmons should be the sixth man, and he should be rotating constantly between Maxey and Seth Curry. Because if
I agree.
Because if he's able to rotate with Seth Curry, maybe, and you still keep Maxey on the court, you still have some scoring from there, and none of your guards. All right, I'll basically say this: the person who has the most assists per game on your team right now is Tobias Harris with 4.2 a game.
Yeah,
So if you can keep
enough.
Maxey in and have Ben Simmons just distribute, whether it be from shooting guard or just bringing the ball up and keep Maxey around, all you ask is just Simmons to distribute, but you keep the scorers around. I think that's your best case scenario. But you have to just constantly rotate Maxey, Curry, and Simmons, just the three of them in like this triangle off the bench.
I got you halfway there. Like the whole idea coming off the bench, yes, but I don't think the points that you brought up afterwards like were necessarily like strong enough to say why that would be in the Sixers' best interest. Because I'm going more so this route. I think that would be a good idea because that means he will be coming in against the other team's second units, meaning their offenses won't be as effective. Therefore, if let's say they do try and do like the 4-on-5 basketball, like when the Sixers are on offense, at least even if they're not scoring as effectively, the other teams like second unit, they're not going to have as much firepower as the first unit. So
Well,
that would be good. And then when the starters are in, they'll have in when both first units are in, the Sixers will have the floor spacing. Well, specifically Embiid will have the spacing he needs.
and
Because honestly, him and Embiid on the court together at the same time, it just clogs up the lanes too much, especially when it comes time to close.
I think that another thing with what you mentioned is there's also usually worse defense. So that would be a good spot to try to usher Ben
Yeah,
Simmons into taking more shots,
yeah,
coming off the bench with against second stringers. Um, I do think though, obviously the second Simmons gets there, I think he would almost instantly become your assist leader pretty quickly, even if
yeah.
it's off the bench, just
He,
because it seems like
easily. He's the best passer on the team.
it's just
That's
weird though.
why.
Like no one on your team is finding like these assists, which is pretty.
You know what I think it is? Because I think with Simmons there, he's playing the more traditional, like what we expect to see from a point guard play. Like he brings the ball down, he spots the open man or creates the
Yeah,
opening, sends the ball to them, and they score. But without him there, without having that primary facilitator, I think the ball is moving around more. So it's less assist happening and more shot creation individually happening now.
yeah, and I think that there's a way that they can combine that, do
Yeah.
constant ball movement, but also use Simmons distribution. I think that could work really well, like running motion or just anything that kind of
Yeah.
finds an open shot.
I think it's more effective with the second unit though, because like in the prime first unit, there is they have shot creators. Seth Curry, he unlike JJ Redick, he can create a shot himself. Tobias Harris, he's a shot creator. Embiid, he's at his best when you give him the ball down in the post and let him work and create on his own.
I,
So I think that facilitating will work better in the second unit with guys like Court Moss, because they need that more. They need the facilitating more.
I can agree with that. I just think that also at the same time you can't feed him to the wolves. You need to have a couple starters on the court with him. You can't just
Well,
put
yeah.
him with the four second stringers.
Yeah.
Um, I
Again,
but
like Seth Curry, that'd be perfect on a spot up shooter for him.
yeah, if you can put like Simmons in, Seth Curry, and
Korkmaz.
Korkmaz, yeah, because you'll basically have
Yeah,
Simmons guard your small forward because those guys are both shooting guards.
yeah,
Um, and then you have Simmons guard your the small forward, and then your power forward could be I don't think Tobias Harris is
yeah,
the worst thing in the world, but maybe also have Andre Drummond in at center, just getting you boards.
yeah. Well, he's definitely going to be in that center in the second unit. He's Embiid's backup.
But I'm saying that he would be a good person to put with Simmons because I think him
Yeah,
getting the boards and kind of just I feel
yeah,
like Drummond, like if Simmons really refuses to shoot, especially down like we saw down in the post, Drummond's like that polar opposite guy. Like he'll shoot a couple times. I mean, he's a sole rebounder, but like specifically, that man does not leave the key. Like he
yeah,
doesn't go anywhere else. So at least
yeah,
with Drummond and Simmons, they kind of counter each other in a way that kind of works well. Um,
yeah.
hopefully, we will never know because we
Yeah,
don't even know if they're going to play together.
he'll always be there to crash the board because
Right.
he doesn't look to score like Embiid is. Embiid roams around more for space to score.
Has Drummond grown on you at all since? The Lakers
A,
days.
a little bit, just because of my fantasy points. I like it. I like the rebounding he's been giving me.
I always had as someone who used to play center or power forward, I always had an admiration for rebounding. So seeing someone who get so many rebounds is something I always was enjoyed.
Yeah,
He's averaging 9 rebounds in 15 minutes per game, by the way.
yeah, that's incredible.
Um,
I mean, he played double when he was playing double those minutes. He was averaging what, like 15 rebounds a
yeah.
game.
He's also averaging. Wow.
It
So
looks like he's become a better passer too, as well.
who do you think is averaging the most turnovers on your team?
Is it Embiid?
It's actually Drummond.
Oh,
Drummond's averaging 2.6, but Embiid's averaging 2.5. So it's barely, but I mean, Embiid's playing way more minutes though. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of embarrassing, Drummond.
yeah. See anything else that's interesting that kind of stands out. Um, Tobias Harris is also averaging 9 rebounds a game, so that's worth noting. He's tied for first with Drummond at 9, and then Embiid's 8.7. It is a steep drop off from there, though. You guys need a backup power forward, in my opinion. That's like good.
Yeah, I think we need a real power forward. Power forward. Period. Tobias is a wing. He's a small forward.
Yeah, he's a small forward. And that's the other thing I thought about too. Like, your lineup would feel so much more comforting if you can get a true power forward and you just slide Tobias to small forward. Like, that would just be nice to have.
The only power forward we had recent years was Dario Saric.
Oh yeah, and he was well liked too because he was the only one on the team.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't bad. He was okay.
No, he's on the Suns now, and I think he had a season-ending injury in the playoffs last year, so he's out for a bit.
Yeah.
Knicks. Let's talk about them. So points per game. Who do you think are the top 5? I want to see if you can get this. You don't have to get it in order, but you can.
Evan Fournier.
It's one of them. He's second.
Julius Randle.
It's one.
Mhm.
No. 3, 4, and 5. That's 3.
Derrick Rose.
That's 5. 4.
Is it? No way. Not Obi Toppin.
No.
All right. Wait. I know who it is. Mitchell Robinson.
No, you're missing somebody big.
No. Oh my God. Kemba Walker.
Yeah.
I forgot they had him.
So this has probably been the most well-balanced group that we've come across. Randall's averaging 20, Fournier 17, Barrett 17, Kemba 15, and Rose 12. Whether you love it or hate it, this team is playing well. It's what.
No, that's what makes me sick to my stomach because I can't argue.
There's no greater feeling than watching RJ Barrett score 35 the other night because he either scores 30 or I'm sorry 20s, or he shoots 1 for 8 and gets like 6 points. So to see him score 35 gives me hope that he's developing and getting better because he is also, as much hate as he gets, he's also 21 years old. He's very young. I mean, not everyone's LeBron going into the NBA at like 19.
Does he really get hate, or does he more so get ignored and not recognized?
More ignored and not recognized. But I also get. Well, now I can't make this debate anymore. It's going to piss me off that I can't make this debate. But there was a lot of slander over the last 2 years where people are like, why do people think RJ Barrett's even good? Tyler Herro is way better. And that really pissed me off.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Since we.
But now I can't say that because he's playing well.
Yeah, I'll point that out. Tyler Herro played better this year. Because I remember I was on the record last year that I wanted the Heat to trade Herro.
Yeah.
But this year he's showing improvement, so I take that back.
Yeah, so it's nice to see Barrett doing well. I think he does have a chance to live up to his third. I mean, I think he's lived up to where he was, the third pick. But I think he has a chance to kind of get closer to right now. So I feel like when you look at that draft, number 1 was Zion, right? And then number 2 was Ja. Then 3 was RJ Barrett. I don't know how you feel, but my perception on it is there's 1 and 2, and then there's the rest.
Well, Well, yeah, I think there's one,
Yeah.
and then two, and the rest. I think John Moran right now is way better than Zion is.
Well, Zion hasn't been healthy either, but when he plays, he scores 20 a game at least,
Yeah,
usually.
but his impact is not the same that Jaws is.
Yeah, you're right. John Morant is also separating himself, especially this
Yeah,
year.
and I'm not even just looking at the scoring. If we want to get in clash there, we're seeing the elite level playmaking from Ja and defense.
Yeah,
Zion, we've been seeing him underperform on defense, given his athleticism and strength, and also on the rebounding as well.
but my point being is, I think that RJ Barrett is going to slowly start to rise up towards that top threshold versus the bottom. Man, not John Morant level, but I think I could see him getting to a level near Zion where he's averaging the same amount of points a game and he's contributing as much. Um,
Yeah,
so hopefully we'll see. You got to see firsthand too. Mitchell Robinson, fun to watch, great player. He doesn't score a lot, but he is a defensive
nightmare.
mastermind, nightmare,
Yeah.
perfect. Great defense, great shot blocker, and a great rebounder. He's been so fun to watch because he's been hurt for most of last year and he just got back. It's so nice to have him and not Nerlens Noel as our starting center. Um, just to see, young talent. I can't wait to see what he does. Obi Toppin's been playing well. Was not good at all last year. He's now been a routine contributor. Kemba Walker is not at his himself yet. No,
He's looking better on New York than he looked in Boston.
I 100% agree. He's looking better than what he did in Boston. He's still worse than his Charlotte self yet, but I still think there's a chance that he can get close to it. I'm not going to say there because he was kind of forced to score everything there, but I
Yeah.
think he could definitely be really close to where he was. So that's nice to see. Uh, you also saw Evan Fournier has been phenomenal for them for as a spot up shooter. And the amount of spacing they're getting him, whether it be screens or ball movement, they've been getting him a lot of open shots too.
Yeah. Derrick Rose just been being D Rose.
D Rose is D Rose. 12 points a game in 20 minutes. He's been a great sixth man. He's done everything that has been needed from him.
Still incredibly explosive.
Yeah. And then you just got a deep bench around him. I mean, so after your top five is your starting five is Randall, Fournier, Barrett, Kemba, and Mitchell Robinson. You have D Rose off the bench. After that, it's still pretty good. You have Alec Burks, who's been a great shooter, um, Obi Toppin, Taj Gibson, Emmanuel Quickly, which we saw him score almost 20 a game last year, and then you have the young unproven guys: Quentin Grimes, Wayne Selden, um, Kevin Knox, who vanished off the face of the earth. But yeah, good players, good players. I will say though, a little bit scary thing. The person averaging the most assists on the team is Julius Randle with 7. Nice to see
I
your
mean,
power forward do well though.
I think he had the ball in his hand the most out of everyone too.
Julius Randle, top 5 power forward in the NBA.
Regular season, yeah. Again, which doesn't really say much. The power forward position is weak in the league.
Yeah, I mean I think he's probably top 3 or 4. I got to think of
Yeah,
who's there, but we also only saw 1 year of playoff Julius Randle, so it could be just something that he wasn't used to. Because
and again,
playoff
they're
basketball is
even
different.
better, and they're even better this year with Kemba there. So
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. I think. Will you agree that they're a playoff team?
yeah, they're a lock for the playoff. I have them in that 3 to 8
Yeah.
category.
It's just
As a
it's
matter
just
of
so
fact,
nice.
I'll go as far as to say I wouldn't be surprised if they grab the third spot. I think the 3 and 4 spot's gonna go between the Heat and the Knicks.
Do you remember how a year ago, before the last season started, the Knicks were supposed to be like near dead last, but Tom
Yeah,
Thibodeau kind of got the team to work in a good way, and most of the
yeah,
roster is still the same, minus Nerlens Noel and Mitchell Robinson now being healthy. It's just
yeah,
wild to see that now with the way we saw them play with Tom Thibodeau. It's like this team's pretty good.
yeah.
They're young and developing. Finally. I'm glad we didn't just trade everything for one star player who could score 60 a game and get us the 8 seed in the playoffs and lose in the first round.
Are you throwing some shade at someone?
Um, hmm. I mean, a little bit. A little. All right, let's go to the West because we're also getting close to running out of time.
Yeah, but gotta point this out too.
Go ahead.
We forgot. Thank God. Thank God for you, I should say. James Dolan wised up a little bit, and he didn't fire a coach again.
Bingo! Well, here's the thing I want to give huge credit to. Leon Rose is the new president of the team, and even when he first got hired, he was highly regarded. I don't know much about Leon Rose, but from my understanding is he's well regarded, and apparently he's supposed to be very smart in the way he builds his team. So he's been the one making primarily the decisions. And I think he's done a great job. Like, he's been very patient. He's used his draft picks pretty well, and he hasn't overpaid for too many people. And he's kind of finding the right pieces. Like, Evan Fournier was a great signing. So was Kemba, because it was cheap, too. They got him for almost nothing. All right, so real quick, too, Eastern Conference teams that aren't performing at expectations. Nets are 4-3. Hawks are 3-3. Bucks are 3-4. Celtics are 2-4. Oh my gosh, Pacers are 1-6. I didn't even notice. They were playing close games too. It's a rough start for those people. All right, let's go to the West. This I will say this right away. This conference is playing more like expectations. So as expected, the Pelicans are dead last, especially because they don't have Zion, and they don't have Lonzo now. It's just. And Brandon Ingram's hurt too, and so half their team's not playing. Rockets are at the bottom. Kevin Porter and Christian Wood are developing. I think they need another year or two before they're decent. The Thunder have Shai completely alone. Clippers are 1-4. That's pretty rough.
Haven't they had a pretty tough schedule though to start off though?
Let's look at that.
I know Golden State was one of them.
Yeah, I love when my internet doesn't work, even though I'm recording and talking to you through internet. That's cool.
Let me look too.
Okay, so they faced the Trailblazers. Oh man, this isn't a tough schedule. They faced the Warriors to start, then the Grizzlies. They lost the Warriors by 2. They lost the Grizzlies by 6. Then the Trailblazers they beat by like 40. Then they lost to the Cavs, and then they lost to the Trailblazers the second time.
I take it back then.
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at this box score because I want to see what happened between the Cavs and the Clippers. Because, like I said, the two centers. So yeah, Jared Allen and Evan Mobley both played. They combined for 18 rebounds. Markkanen also had 9. So the three forward, Markkanen's a power forward, all right? Markkanen's a power forward playing small forward. So let me just get that out of the way. So those three combined for 27 rebounds alone. Not to mind you, Colin Sexton went and got 7 rebounds himself too. So they had a total of 57 rebounds. Oh my. They had 57 total rebounds. You know what the Clippers had?
20.
36. It wasn't close. They were out-rebounded by over 20 rebounds. See the problem? Zubac was getting bullied.
They need Kawhi back.
Yeah. And Paul George also scored 12, and he was 0-8 from 3 that game.
What did Shannon Sharp call him? Polyester P. The strength when the heat turns up.
So, all right. After that, let's go back to the standings here. Standings. Thank you. All right. Spurs are 2-4. They're missing. They don't have anything. They're starting small forwards Doug McDermott. Great for my fantasy team, but not good overall. Moving on to the Suns are 2-3.
That's all right.
It's all right. I mean, I think I told you this after early into the season. I think I told you that the Suns were not going to be nearly as good as they were. But did I? I don't know.
I don't remember.
I told you I was concerned about the way the Suns were playing, but I don't know if I don't want to definitively say something that I was right or not because I don't know if I actually said anything. Um, but I did know that that team is going to be potentially figured out at some point, and I mean Booker is not good. Oh no, I didn't say the Suns were going to be bad. I said Booker was going to fall off more. Booker was going to be nowhere near what he was this last year. And he's scoring 22 a game. Chris Paul's only scoring 12 a game, but he's averaging 10 assists. Um, Eaton's only
And
scoring 13 a game.
Paul's also going to be a year older, so he's 37.
So do we want to talk about? So DeAndre Ayton wanted the max extension. He was eligible for it this year, and they decided not to do it. They told him maybe, and they didn't end up paying him. It's significant because, if I'm not mistaken, they spent two big contracts on Landry Shamet and somebody else. I want to say Cameron Johnson, but I want to double check before I'm wrong. Let's see. I'm so sorry. It's just a significant thing to mention because they signed. Okay, no, they signed Mikal Bridges to a 4-year, $90 million deal, and then they paid Landry Shamet 4 years, $43 million. Not to roast, but Shamet has gotten like 10 minutes a game in the last 2 years. So I was a little bit confused about that. He was on the Nets. Now he's on the Suns. But like he's averaging 5 points a game right now for them, and they paid him $40 million. I feel like that's a bit much. Could be me. I think you should pay Ayton as soon as possible because it's only going to get more expensive.
I think so too. I mean, it's already fair to call him arguably, well, yeah, no, definitely a top 5 center in the league already, and, and he's only gonna keep getting better.
Yeah. So, all right, next one. Sorry that we have to fly through these. Grizzlies. Not much to say. Ja Morant's carrying the team.
And carry my fantasy, Ja, I love you.
Yes, he is. Portland Trailblazers. Damian Lillard's been struggling a bit. He was scoring like 18 to 20 a game early on. I think that, like all NBA players, it's them getting used to the whole new fouling and officiating. I think that's just going to take some time, but I'm sure he'll step up soon. Lakers, I'm not going to flame. LeBron hasn't played in one or two of the games, and those were the games they were not playing well. Straight up, talent or not, LeBron's the leader, and without him, I feel like they kind of crumble a bit. AD is a great player, but I don't consider him to be a leader.
Yeah, and I think it goes to like what I was alluding to you like via text, like, and it frustrates me with the Lakers. When LeBron is not there, they're not feeding him the ball,
Yeah.
like which I don't understand. It frustrates me, and I know some of you, especially you hated fans out there, are gonna jump and say, "Oh, well, it's because it's Russell Westbrook." This predates Westbrook even before Westbrook was there, even in their championship run. When LeBron is on the floor, he feeds AD. When he's not there, everyone else wants to try doing ISOs and all this other stuff where an AD goes up and down the court on possessions and not getting the ball in his hands at all. Like that cannot happen. And
Also,
in terms of his contribution, like even with LeBron not there, AD is AD. He's talented.
yeah,
He's
he's
he
right.
does his thing. Like, and he's looking like the AD we know and love. But the Lakers, and this is well, I'm gonna call out Vogel here because since he's the coach, especially when LeBron's not on the floor, you have to keep feeding AD the ball, run your offense through AD, give
Here,
it to him in the post.
here's my issue, and
Hmm.
and it is partially on Vogel. I firmly believe that whatever team LeBron's on, he's
Hmm.
practically the coach, and I mean that in a good way. Like
Yeah,
he's the on
that's
court general,
that's what
and
happens when you have a high basketball
right,
IQ.
he's smart
Yeah.
enough to do that. But I think the issue is when you take LeBron out, that kind of creates a sense of silence from Vogel, where he's still not saying much because it's usually LeBron saying most of the stuff and what to do. But like Vogel kind of doesn't know what to do with himself, which he should understand. You have to coach, especially if LeBron's gone. You gotta make plays. You gotta figure stuff out. But I also want to point out with AD and leadership, people can get mad and angry. We've seen Tom Brady, we've seen LeBron screaming at teammates on the sidelines out of frustration. But
Yeah.
with AD and
I know what you're talking about. Dwight Howard.
AD and Dwight Howard, I know you can get loud with people, and it's first off, let me just say straight out of the gate, it's not a big deal. It's not. People get into physical altercations, whatever. And usually at the end of the day, the relationship's still the same. There's still going to be that sense of weirdness between the two of them, I'm sure, at some points. They're not going to be like best friends in the locker room, but they're teammates and they understand they both get paid to do a job. So they're going to coexist. But I want to say once things do start to get physical, like I know it was minor, there was just shoving, but like when you see like LeBron and Mario Chalmers, they're just screaming back and forth, and you know that they're both just trying to win. And that's the same for AD too. But like when you and Dwight Howard start shoving, it's a bad look. And
LeBron's had a similar moment to that in Cleveland with Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
Like, I think they stood up and got up in each other's face.
The problem with that isn't necessarily that they shoved each other. It's just the way the media is going to handle that. They're going to take it and run with it, and whether
especially a certain entity in the media,
right, and whether that's a big deal or not, the media goes and takes it and runs with it, and that can affect team chemistry. Because when you're hearing that every day. It's not even the fact that you got into an altercation. It's the fact that you and there are other 12 teammates that are getting interviewed after probably the next week of games, I'm pretty sure that was, are going to get asked about, oh, how's that relationship with Dwight Howard and Anthony Davis? How's this? How's that? Are they good friends? Are they on good terms? And it's not that it's necessarily going to affect the team play, but it's going to be bothersome and just annoying to deal with. And I think that's something that should be, talked about a bit, but it's not. I just think that AD could have done more vocally after the game as a leader to just squash it. I know he said, "Oh, there's nothing going on," but like I think you could have went and doubled down a step further and just been like, "No, we're really good friends." Like even if you just got like Dwight to walk up during the press conference, everything's fine. But now you got to just deal with that, and people are going to probably talk about it for the first half of the season because for some reason they take it and run with it, and it's too much.
Absolutely.
Because me and you both know LeBron would have been really vocal if he got into an altercation with someone, and he probably would have talked about it for the next 3 days because he knows he has to address it to get it out of the way. So it's talked about less.
Yeah.
Which, massive shout out to LeBron first, real quick. Phenomenal with the media. He knows the way he has to talk to them, and he knows the way he has to handle his business and the way he has to speak to people.
That's what happens when you're a 17-year-old kid on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Like,
exactly.
You're forced to be a man at an early age.
And you deal with so much hate, love, criticism, everything. You adjust to it, and that's something that I think AD is also adjusting to. I think he's still grown up over the years, but it's still something he's got to kind of adjust to.
Yeah, how old is he now? Like 27, right?
Yeah, 26, 27. Okay, Kings 3-3. De'Aaron Fox is playing pretty good. Buddy Hield's playing good.
We skipped over someone on the Lakers, Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook is playing like old Russell Westbrook. Not old Russell Westbrook. I mean like he's like physically old Russell Westbrook. But he's playing well still statistically.
It's funny, but he's been getting so much heat over the media. I think he's getting too much heat over the media, honestly, from these analysts. Because, like, they're literally, and this is why I defend him so much, they're using him as a scapegoat for, like, some of these Lakers losses. Yeah, he has some bad plays here and there, but it's not all his fault. Like, there were games where, one game, I think AD was struggling, too. I mean... Westbrook's problem, like literally, is that he's just not finishing two things.
Yeah.
He's not finishing it at the rim, like because some of these drives he takes, they're not bad drives. He's just not finishing. And two, I will say, I don't think he's used to like having someone he can consistently lob the ball to because the lob passes to AD, DeAndre Jordan, and Dwight Howard have not been on target.
Here's the thing: he's playing to expectation. If you properly got the proper expectations out of him. I'm pretty sure you felt the same way. I expected Russell Westbrook to play like Washington Wizards Russell Westbrook. I didn't expect to go see him from his Thunder averaging triple-double a game days. I
Yeah.
expected him to contribute pretty well. I would say I expected him to contribute similar to what he did with the Rockets with James Harden. It didn't look that good because they weren't winning many games between him and James Harden. But statistically, he was still doing pretty good. It was like 15 to 20 points a game and like 8 or 9 assists. That's what I expect from him. I don't expect him to go get 30, 40 points. Just,
Yeah.
play your own game. He's getting
And
old, too.
and as a matter of fact, I think in their second game, yeah, he had a huge night. Like he was a big reason why they won. With him and
Yeah.
AD had 30 something points, but he did not get any credit for it. All that credit went to AD.
Yeah.
Like it's just it's ridiculous. And I'm gonna point this out because people like to hate on him for rebounding. Yeah, we saw that OKC in the past they let him get the rebound at his stat, but that does not take away the fact he's a great rebounding point guard because of his hustle. Watching the games, seeing him run down low with the bigs, like if a AD or one of the other big misses a rebound, Westbrook is there to help tip the ball up to either help
hmm
them grab it or pull it down himself. His rebounding effort is actually helping
Yeah,
them.
I agree. Not to be that guy, but we're probably going to have to move on to the next
Yeah, yeah.
team.
Yeah, I just want to
Um,
get that out.
no, you're good. I 100% agree with you. Kings, I'm not going to mention too much. De'Aaron Fox, Harrison Barnes playing well. They're 3-3. Rashawn Holmes looking good at center. Buddy Hield doing all right. Not much from Marvin Bagley. I believe that he is in rough waters between him and the Kings organization. I don't think they're getting along well. A team worth talking about a little bit. The Timberwolves. Looking pretty good so far. Anthony Edwards, I've told you this 1,000 times, I think is a great player, and he deserved Rookie of the Year because LaMelo Ball was out for half the year. Um, Anthony Edwards is playing great. He's averaging 23 a game. 8.4 rebounds, and 3 assists as a small forward. He's playing great. Overall, Karl Anthony Towns averaging 25 a game, 4 assists, 8 rebounds. However, his assist to turnover ratio is 0.8. So worth noting that. It's a minor detail. D'Angelo Russell, the third part of that, averaging 17 a game, 5 assists and 4 rebounds. The problem here is there is no help outside of those three. You have those three, and then I'll read off the rest of the team. I mean, you have Malik Beasley, you have Patrick Beverley, is your fifth average scoring a game. Naz Reid, who had expectations coming out of college but has not played well. Jared Vanderbilt, Jaden McDaniels, Taurean Prince. I mean, that team is not good outside of those three. So hopefully they kind of build it. I think they're at a good core three now, and they just need to build a bench around them, kind of like the Wizards did in a sense. Now moving on to the Mavericks are 4-2. I don't think there's really much to talk about. Doncic is doing almost everything. Hardaway's playing all right, if I'm not mistaken. Porzingis is still not Knicks Porzingis, but he's doing okay. I will point out that Doncic is averaging 22 a game, and then the next best is Hardaway with 12, and then Porzingis with 12, and Jalen Brunson at 11. And then it's a steep. Then it goes down to 8. Dwight Powell. So Doncic is alone. We knew that. Tim Hardaway is a pretty good contributor. He's still a worthy starter, but Porzingis needs to play better. Denver Nuggets. Michael Porter's starting to play better. Jokic has played well. Will Barton's been phenomenal. He doesn't get talked about much because he's usually the third or fourth option, but he's averaging 15 a game, 3.7 assists and 4 rebounds. Porter's only scoring 10 a game right now. Monty Morris has got 11 a game. Aaron Gordon's been averaging 12 a game, not bad. And this is a team also, they're 4-2 without Jamal Murray, third in the standings. I'm excited to see Murray come back. Hopefully he's good quick because that team might be a legit threat. Warriors are 5-1. Jazz are 5-1. There's not much to talk about the Jazz. Literally just refer to last year and everything's almost exactly the same. Donovan Mitchell's doing well with contributors like Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson, Bogdanovich, and then the occasional really good game from Rudy Gobert. Literally nothing's changed.
Yeah. Oh,
Warriors we could talk about.
Steph looking like MVP, season MVP again this year.
Yeah,
Um,
he had 20 in the first game, and then he said that sorry I had a bad game, and then now he's looked
well,
insane.
well, the reason why he shot like 3 for 14 for the
Yeah,
field, that's why. Um, but Jordan Poole, he's been incredible help, like especially like his 3-point shooting. Considering that they don't have Clay, he's
he's been
really
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 good.
stepped up. Yeah. Um. Oh, I keep forgetting what his last name is, but the European big man coming off the bench. He's like 6'10". I think
It's
it's
power forward,
Chico.
right? Yeah,
Yeah,
Belika. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Belica. Yeah, he's been a good addition for them coming off the bench,
Yeah, he
stretching the
has.
floor from the big man spot. So the Warriors, when Klay Thompson comes back, well, obviously he's gonna need to get some games in. But when everybody's healthy, I think that Warriors team are gonna be the toughest challenge for the Lakers in the postseason.
I think you forgot to mention somebody.
Draymond Green,
No, he's a forward.
Andre Iguodala's back.
No, Andrew Wiggins.
Oh no, I didn't forget him.
He's averaging 17 a game. He's the second
I
leading
don't,
scorer on their team.
I don't care. He's had,
Dude,
I'm pretty sure he
you're a
averaged like,
Wiggins hater.
I'm pretty sure he averaged like last year. Yeah, he's not. He has the numbers, but like when it comes crunch time and Steph really needs a crime partner, like he's not there with him.
Yeah,
Like
but
I can bet you most of the games where he's really puts up his best numbers are when it's pretty much a wrap for the Warriors. Like he's really not contributing much to wins.
he's
He's
averaging
not.
16 a game in 30 minutes, and he's averaging four
No.
rebounds, 1.2 steals, and 1.7
All right,
assists.
this season just started, but waiting on. I'm just even thinking last year. When did I see him score like over 25 points? Pretty much game with the game the Warriors lose.
He is a top 15 to 16 small forward in the NBA.
All right, sure, I'll give it that.
Okay. I'm just saying he's contributed a decent bit. Obviously, Steph's been the leader of it, and Jordan Poole's been very good. Damian Lee has also been good too. Not
Yeah.
many people are talking about him. Um, I don't think there's anything. Oh, I didn't even realize they have Gary Payton II on that team. Um,
Yeah, I just got to throw this in there. We'll go back to the Lakers since we're gonna wrap up soon.
okay.
I almost cried. I swear LeBron and AD. I'm convinced they want me to die of a heart attack. LeBron, like that same ankle, like he went when he went down the other day. They said there was a different area on the ankle. It wasn't the exact same injury, but I almost panicked. I was so glad to see he get up and start playing and still playing. And then don't get me started on AD, his knee. When I saw the way he landed, and I saw him laying there on the floor, because that was a terrible landing. I thought that was it for the season and it for my fantasy team.
Um,
I
it's
almost cried.
it freaks me out because every year there's a really bad NBA injury. Even if it's not gruesome, but one that ends a star player season, and I'm really afraid to find out who it is this year because there's always one, and
Yeah,
I really hope obviously it doesn't happen, but I don't know which one it's gonna be. It's always different
yeah,
every year.
yeah,
Let me just tell you, I'm praying it's not Kevin Durant, even if I hate the Nets. Um,
I hope not too.
yeah, let me knock on this fastball. Just in case, but literally take my knees instead. Other than that, you got anything else you want to add?
Nope, that's all.
All right. Well, without further ado, it's nice to be back. Go Knicks. I'll see you guys on the floor tomorrow when I play. I forgot what team I'm playing. But I'll see you guys on the floor tomorrow. I'll get you guys at least a couple buckets. Got anything else you want to add?
Yeah, everyone, as you know, like basketball is really my sport. I know little to nothing about football, so I'm glad the NBA season is back, and I hope you're all enjoying it as well. I hope the Knicks they start losing some games, so I can, for my own sanity. And yeah, just hope for a good season. Injuries, I got to be on the lookout for what Sixers games I will go to, and make sure that I can afford them as well.
Yeah.
But other than that, have a good one.
All right. Yeah, I'll try to help with the football part. Fingers crossed that whichever game he goes to next will be Ben Simmons' debut for the Sixers. Other than that,
Yes, I actually want it, so I can boo him with the rest of the Sixers crowd. Yes,
yeah,
good
of
idea.
course. um, Glad to be back. We will see you next week. Enjoy some football on Thursday and some basketball all week. Jets versus Colts Thursday. Plenty of good basketball games, and we will catch you next Sunday/Monday.
To me and you, I want you, I love you. Can I touch you, I rub, let me love you. Put my dreams to the side only cause I trust you. Girl, I trust you, I love you, won't judge you.